Hey, welcome to day 14 of the 26 by 26 challenge. And today we're going to look at James chapter 3, and we're going to look at verses 3, 4, 5, and 6. James 3, 3 through 6. He's continuing to talk about the tongue, and he gets even deeper with the illustrations. So we're going to look at it. I'm going to read the whole thing, and then we'll walk back through it, okay? James chapter 3, starting with verse 3, it says this: Now, if we put bits into the mouths of horses so that they obey us, we direct their whole bodies. And consider ships. Though very large and driven by fierce winds, they're guided by a very small rudder wherever the will of the pilot directs. So too, though the tongue is a small part of the body, it boasts great things. Consider how a small fire sets ablaze a large forest. And the tongue is a fire. The tongue, a world of unrighteousness, is placed among our members. It stains the whole body, sets the course of life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell. I mean, my gosh, that is some strong language that James uses around the idea of the tongue. Now, I'm going to walk through it with you a little bit, but then I want to give you an overarching theme and synopsis of what's going on here. It almost seems like James is angling for something, doesn't it? It almost seems like maybe it's like one of Paul's letters where he's like, hey, you two people over here need to get along and stop talking about one another and settle your differences over here. Like we see that toward the end of Paul's letters when he calls out people. James doesn't necessarily do that, but it almost seems as if there's something like that going on that he's addressing. Now, again, doesn't say that, but he comes across that way. And I think if he's just teaching and there is no scenario that he's addressing, he really feels passionately about the tongue. And he starts off with the idea that the tongue is a small thing, but makes a big difference. He even likens it to the direction of which something goes. Let's talk about that for just a minute. He starts off with the tongue in verse 1 and 2 that we talked about yesterday in chapter 3, as if it's something being taught, which makes sense for this illustration, because remember he says teachers, and he likens that to the tongue. He relates to the tongue with teaching, which makes sense because today he's saying this little member directs. It sets a path forward for us to follow. And he talks about how horses, these strong creatures, are controlled with a little bit in their mouth. That when you pull it one way, it controls them to go that way. And when you pull it this way, it controls them to go that way. And when you pull it back, it causes them to stop. That you control this animal that's bigger than you by placing a small bit in its mouth. And he said also, just like that, look at ships. These huge, massive ships are guided by a little bitty rudder that just simply sets direction, and the whole ship has to go that way. One little rudder tells it where to go. And I think what he's trying to say here, beyond the idea, I think it's twofold. I think their first idea, the main idea, he's already talked about teachers and teaching. And it's like, be careful what you say and how you instruct people, because it is the direction people will walk. And just a small thing can set people off in a direction. That's one way to take it. The other way to take it, which I think is more applicable to the church at large that he's writing to, not just teachers. And I think that principle is the power of the tongue. Be careful what you say, because what you say determines the direction you go. This is going to be awful. This is going to be terrible. Well, that's the direction it's going to head because that's what you said about it. But if you walk into the same circumstance, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be fun. It's going to follow the direction that you set out for it by the words that you speak. Remember this. We're going to say this over and over again during this section. You heard me say it yesterday. You're going to hear me say it right now. You'll probably hear Pastor Wes say it tomorrow. Our words create worlds. Write it down. Put it in your notebook. Get it tattooed on your arm if you need to remember it. Write it on your mirror. Put it somewhere you can remember that the words you say are so important because your words create worlds. They shape not just the direction that you go, they shape the direction your spouse goes. They shape the direction your children go. They shape the direction your church goes, your business goes, your marriage goes. It shapes the direction of which your life goes. Oh, it's just a word. Yeah, but you're speaking that into existence with the power that is the creative force of Almighty God inside of you. It's not just a word. And I know that we talk about speaking without thinking, but really, words start from somewhere else deeper. From the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, remember? And so, it is with our words when what is said sets the direction before us. And just a little bit guides it in a big way. Again, my argument to this is not just what you say, but how you say what you say can determine a different direction and using the same words in a different way, with a different interpretation, with a different countenance, with a different delivery. They do two different things. You could have the same speech with the same words written down on a paper, and you can have someone reading them monotone, giving a talk to a room, and it might be the same words that someone else was using, but because it was delivered monotone, it didn't have the impact that it would have had on the room. It didn't change the course of a life. It didn't make someone else aspire to be something or someone greater because there was no inflection. You see? But you take the same speech and you put inflection into it. You put some motion with it using the tools that God gave you to deliver a truth. Using inflection and silence. See, how you deliver what you say matters because it gives you the power to stir up people's emotions, people's souls, people's spirits to go do what God has called them to do. Your words matter. How you say what you say matters. It's the reason that a coach can get into a locker room and give a fiery talk and the team wants to walk out differently after halftime. Why? Because of the way that he said what he said. He could say the same words without the fire in his belly and it just comes flat across. It doesn't inspire change. And so my argument is how you say what you say matters as much as what you say because your words are creating worlds. He goes on from this idea of direction and he says this, he goes pretty hard on the tongue here. And he says, so too, the tongue is a small part of the body and it boasts great things. Now consider how a small fire sets ablaze a large forest. By the way, a tongue is a fire. Your tongue is a fire that has the potential to set a wildfire, good or bad. Good or bad. Good fire, bad fire. Your tongue has the power to create both. And then he says this about it. The tongue, a world of unrighteousness, that's his description of a tongue, is placed among our members. It's placed among your body that has the ability to do good or to do evil. And he says it's a world of unrighteousness. And it is itself set on fire by hell. He says this, it stains the whole body and is itself set on fire by hell. It sets the course of life on fire, and it is itself set on fire by hell. Now, I don't know if he's talking about gossip here. He's just talking about the tongue in general. And I think he's being very exaggerative, very using inflection in written form, using very stark and pointed words, carefully chosen to express the severity of which we are to view the tongue. It's not innocent, it's potent. Just a little word goes a long way. And he goes so far to say that it sets the whole course of life on fire, and itself is set on fire by hell. And I wonder if you and I understand the severity of our words, the implication of our words, what we are actually creating when we speak. Here's your challenge. Your challenge is this. He's going to keep talking about the tongue. We'll let Pastor West continue that tomorrow. But here's your challenge for today, okay? Your challenge for today is to speak positively. No negatively, no negativity. Speak truth. Be careful what you say about yourself today. How you speak to yourself today. How you speak to others today. Encourage somebody with your words. You could set their life on fire for God. And with different words, you could set their life on fire for evil. It's up to you. You get to choose. The words that you speak, your words are a gift from God to be stewarded, to be used like arrows being shot toward the soul. Shoot encouragement at somebody today. Shoot hope at somebody today. Shoot joy and peace and patience. That's what we want to be shooting with our words. I mean, think about the words, the arrows of words that have been shot at you. Fiery darts, we want to call them. I remember negative words from when I was a kid that people spoke about me or to me. I remember a friend's parent telling them they could never play with me anymore because I was too rambunctious for their kid. I remember being around those same people, having a fourth grade teacher that would speak to me, knowing my propensity for hyperactivity, and she would say, "Aaron, God's going to use you one day. I know you like to talk a lot, and I know you're getting in trouble for it right now, hence the fact that you're sitting beside my desk in the back of the room, but God's going to use that for His good one day." I remember that because she spoke it over my life, and it set something on fire inside of me to go toward God, not away from Him. And so listen to me today. Your words matter. Speak life over somebody near you today. Be the reason that they have their life in pursuit of the calling of God on their lives to transform the world around them because of your words, because of your encouragement, because you spoke the words that Jesus would speak if He were standing right here to them. That's your job. That's your job. Now go and do likewise today. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.